Well, it was a lot more fun than we thought it would be. 49ers win with a game winner by third-round kicker Jake Moody, and Trey Lance plays well. Let's talk about it. Welcome, everybody. Let's go Niners. My name is Jason Aponte. My name is Jason Aponte. What's up, 49ers faithful? Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live. What a game, huh? What a game that didn't really have too much juice, but that was a lot of fun. And for anyone who wanted to see Trey Lance get more reps, now that's why you want to see him get more reps. In the beginning, wasn't as pretty. The interception, I went on record and said, hey, that's not a great throw. You've got to get some more air under it. But unfortunately, it goes that way, NFL players are going to make plays on it. But Trey Lance bounced back 3 straight scoring drives, and then, he looked great down the stretch. I mean, if you want to say it's against whoever, fourth string, whatever, fine. But my goodness, man, do you understand now why people want to see the young man get reps? He executed very well. He looked like he's been there before. He bounced back after a shaky start, so I'm going to let people get in here. We got over 75 people in here right now. Make sure if you're new here, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live. Postseason games are going to happen all season long. Shout out to everybody in here, man. Let's start from the beginning, though. Let's start from the very beginning. Brock Purdy looked like Brock Purdy from last year. And that's very, very good. Christian Nunez, Moody win. Finally, trade shows some confidence. Never a doubt about Moody, Christian. Never a doubt, ever. Love kickers. They're the best. No, but in the beginning, the first drive, this team looked like the team at the end of the year, right? Like executing the offense, and Brock looked like he didn't even miss any time. And I think no matter what, even if Brock didn't necessarily look great in the beginning, I wouldn't have worried. But you have to feel a little bit better seeing him get the ball to Debo, seeing him get the ball to Ayuk, and just you would have figured that with a little bit of time, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, things like that, they probably score a touchdown on that drive. And thank you for the donation, Muhammad. Appreciate you. I don't know if you wanted to say something, but send the comment in, and if you don't have to donate again so we can get to it. But good news is offense looks like the offense. That's great. That's great. That's what we're all kind of worried about. It was good to see Brock out there. It looked normal. That looked exactly. And if you want anything more to make you feel more confident, it was against their starters. But he looked like the guy that we saw last year, and I get it, right? Brock, short passes, dink play calls. He's asked to execute the offense, and that's what he did at a high level last season. Can't ask for anything more than that. When you have that amount of playmakers, you get the ball to them and make them work. That's exactly what you did with Deebo Samuel. This is a call-in show, by the way, people, anybody who's here. So I'm going to put the link in the chat. I'm going to get my little, runoff real quick. And then I'm going to let you guys hop on so you guys can talk. I'm going to put the link in right now. Anybody who wants to hop on, let's talk. Keep it quick because I know there's going to be a lot of people that want to jump in and give their thoughts. But I wanted to say that about Brock Purdy, right? First team defense looks fine. I'm not too worried about it. Ronnie Bell's a hooper. Looks great. Looks great, man. I mean, like, he fits right in, doesn't go down. Looks like the yards after the catch guy. Literally great. We got our first caller. Let's go. Let's talk to Deshaun real quick. Deshaun, what's up, buddy?
Auntie Spicy.
Let's go, my boy. What's going on? How you feeling after this one?
Hey, man, I'm good, man. I'm over here, man. Just was watching the game. Feel good for the young man, because he needed that. All these people just hating on the young man, Trey. Let the dude get in there. Okay, he's not quarterback number 1 right now, but we ain't gotta hate on the man so much.
Yeah.
The man. He's probably gonna be our second quarterback. Like Sam Darnold. Come on now. We need to stop. We need to stop.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see Brock got in. He did his thing. Mm-hmm. He looks pretty good. He looks like Brock. But if more than likely, if he gets hurt, let's get Trey in here, man. We got a good team. Let's stop Trey. And happy Saturday, y'all. Y'all go turn up a couple of drinks this Saturday. Look, go watch the fight. Go do whatever. But let's go out here. Let's turn up. Let's have fun. The season's gonna be fun. Let's get ready for this ride.
Hell yeah, Deshaun. I think we kind of needed that kind of positivity that you're giving right now. And the only thing I'll say about the quarterback position, and you guys know, I wanted to see him play more. And then Matt Miyoko writes an article today saying, hey, he's going to get less reps today. And I just said, this literally makes no sense. And I sent out kind of a snarky tweet saying, Well, you've got to make sure that you look at the guy who has the most starts. Remember, Sam Darnold has the most starts of anybody on this team. So you got to make sure you get a look at him as opposed to the kid who absolutely needs reps, right? Like, and you know, that's just me being funny. But look, unfortunately, the reality of it is, Deshaun, I think we all know what Sam Darnold is. But Trey has to take all of these opportunities, whether it's on the practice field, whether it's on preseason, and he has to grab them by the throat and literally do what he did. It's an unfortunate situation, but that's just where we are with Trey Lance at this point. So for me, it puts him in a spot where I understand exactly what Steve Young was talking about. Why does he have to feel like he's fighting for his football life every single time he touches a football? I don't think that's a comfortable situation for anybody. And if you were at a job, right? Let's just to the most basic thing. You were at a job where your manager said, every single report you have to hand in, or anytime that I ask you to do something, it literally hinges on whether you're going to keep this job or not. Imagine that sort of pressure. Forget football, right? Like just regular pressure. Like I don't think that's fair.
Diamonds.
That's it. It does, Deshaun. Hey, we got another caller, Deshaun. I appreciate your optimism, bro. I appreciate you for calling in, bro. And yeah, enjoy the fight. Go get some drinks. This was such a fun game. This was. I think we all need to kind of alleviate the pressure. Go for it.
Positive thing. If you guys want to be positive, just remember you can go look at his box score. He didn't even play the whole fourth quarter. All right, y'all have a nice
3 straight scoring drives. So appreciate you, Sean.
Right.
All right, guys. Let's see. We got somebody else in here. Let's see. Big Fred Dogs. What's up, buddy?
Hey, bud. How's it going?
What's up, man? You in the car? You watching the end of the game from the car, or you just listening on the radio?
Hey, we went to a local sports bar. My wife picked me up. We're ready to go.
All right, so you're not driving. You're not driving, right? We're being safe.
Hell no.
All right, I love it, man. Talk to me, man. What do you think about this one?
I'm upset because they didn't let Trey Dog finish his drive.
Yeah.
Hey, he did. He's been doing his up and downs and whatnot, but he deserved to finish that drive and see what. I know Moody with his missed field goals and whatnot, but hey, he deserved to finish that drive.
Hell yeah. And look, man, you know, it kind of goes back to what I was just telling Deshaun, like the same thing is Trey is in an unfortunate spot where, you know, based on circumstances, and none of it is necessarily his fault at all, but every time that he touches the football, every time that he's on the field, it feels like his last opportunity, and he needs to actually go out there and show something. What you want to say is a real big positive is that the way that this started for him today, it didn't start very well. But again, he bounces back and he continues to fight back. For as much as I saw tweets about he looks lost, his confidence is shot. Is it? Or I mean, and I think the thing that we keep forgetting is no matter how much blame you put on Kyle Shanahan for this, I'm not here to argue that with anybody. I feel like everybody has their own perspective on the Trey Lance thing. Guys are going to be running wide open all the time. And it's all about ripping it and letting it go. And I think that's what Kyle was talking about. Rip the ball, let it go, play a little bit faster. Now, the processing part, Kyle can't really help him with. But as far as guys being open, that's always going to be there. And I think that's the stuff. Look, man, I'm not going to lie. I was going to come on here and tell you, like, hey, I didn't really learn anything in this preseason game. I'm not going to lie. I'm juiced. I am juiced right now after the way that game ended, man. And I am super excited for the young man. I'm super happy that he was able to do that. What they're going to say now? Was it against fifth stringers or whatever? Because if he doesn't perform, you're just going to say, yeah, it was like, oh, just, you know, it doesn't matter. If it's practice, practice doesn't matter. Right now, the way that people are observing this game is showing their bias and showing the things that they should be saying and things like that. And Double B Studio, Bell will be replacing Debo or BA next year. I think he's replacing Juwan Jennings, in my opinion. What do you think, Big Fred?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't think he's replacing. I don't think he can replace BA because I think highly of him. But and Brian Boucher says yes.
Bell was good too.
No, Bell's a hooper, man. Dare I say he's wearing that number 10 pretty well. I no disrespect to my guy Zane Gonzalez, but Brian says yes, that's the performance I've been hoping to see from Trey since we drafted him. No decisiveness tonight. He was slinging. I think he means like no indecisiveness. And yeah, I agree 100%. Like that's it, right? Like I think what a lot of people want to see is they just want to see him be decisive. Now, whether it's a mistake or whether it's a good play, you want to see the conviction with what you're saying, right? Like what you're doing and you're throwing the ball, right? Like, and I think that's what a lot of people were seeing. Like when JC O'Sullivan breaks down the film and we start to look at the film ourselves, you see a number of throws that are right there that he's turning down. And I think that's the part that drives Kyle Shanahan nuts. It's like, can you see what I'm seeing? Can you operate the offense the way I see the field? And if you can't, that's when you start to find yourself in this position, man. But great for Trey Lance, man. I think this is a feel-good moment for him. In a time when there's been nothing but negativity about him, it wasn't one play, and it wasn't like just a long throw. It was somebody who continuously scored on drives and did it back-to-back times, man. I'm super excited about that.
And he kept moving it down. There was a couple instances that, it wasn't like the interception and whatnot, but that wasn't his fault. Things happen.
Well, the thing is this too. Look, he could have put a little bit more air under that. I think, again, these are NFL football players, so if you make it, the smallest of errors is going to turn into something for them. They're fighting for their lives as well, too. I can say that there was a bit of a breakdown offensive line-wise. You still have to be able to put a little bit more air under that so it can't get tipped. But again, that's where reps come in. Reps are needed. Reps are very much needed. I wanted to ask you this. Did you get a chance to listen to the game broadcast and listen to Greg Papa and Tim Ryan at all? Like when you were watching the game at the sports bar? I don't know if they had the volume. Okay.
No, they didn't.
So I'm gonna present something for you that I kind of noticed while I was watching. And this is, again, I live on the East Coast. I'm not really privy to watching, them, things like that. Like I'm always either watching it, and during the year I have to watch it through Fox, wherever it is, whatever the game is. But Sam Darnold threw a touchdown to a fullback in the flat. And this was lauded as a play that was like, oh my God, what a great throw. And I'm like, dude, he literally just threw the ball like to the flat. Mm-hmm. Trey Lance did the same exact thing, and it was nowhere near as lauded and look, like Jesse's saying, they were hyping Darnold, right? Like it was literally the same exact throw that Darnold had. Trey executes literally on his first drive, and it's almost just like, nice little throw.
Yeah, it is what it is, kind of, yeah.
I don't understand that part. I don't understand that part, man, at all. So I just wanted to present that to you. You live in Cali, so you know a little bit about them more than I do. So I guess you could give me a little bit more insight.
No, I think you got me beat on everything. I look for you guys for a lot of insight. I listen to a lot of points of views, at the end of the day, I come up with my own conclusion. But it's crazy the way that they just throw them under the bus without the reps, without anything else, and they're just trying to give that second, string spot for Sam Darnold. But I understand he is playing pretty good, but you got to give him his chance.
Yeah, I mean, just let the young man play, for better or worse. I will still stand.
We have to see what he's all about.
Right.
We still haven't seen what he's about.
I still want to stand on this hill of there is a world where Trey Lance is not going to pan out in the way that we all hoped or the way that the 49ers hoped. That's absolutely true. But can we find out on the field? Tyler says, how are we feeling about Jack Coletto? Great blocking and scored a TD. Bang, bang. Hey, Kyle Juszczyk, watch your back, Tyler. Like, is that what we're doing at this point? No, he looked good right there. That's the guy who Darnold threw the pass to. That was a touchdown. So, that's the fullback that he was thrown into. Guys, I'll put the link in here if anybody else wants to join as well too. I mean, Big Fred, you down to chill for a little bit because we don't really have too many other callers right now.
My phone's about to die, but I'm ready to put it to charge, and I'll call again.
Hey, you got it, man. Thanks for seeing me. Thanks for dropping in, man. I hope you enjoyed the game, man. Get home safe. And if you drop back in, you drop back in. Oh, hell yeah. Here we go. All right. Big Fred, I got another caller. I'm going to let somebody jump in real quick. And, man, charge that phone. Charge that phone, buddy.
All righty.
All right. We got Rich Madrid in the building. Rich Madrid, what's up, buddy?
Oh shit, man! I mean, it wasn't.
I mean, who cares? Yeah, to say that, who cares, man? I mean, Lance threw some good balls, but I mean, his process is not even that good, man. What are we even doing over here?
Oh man,
love the kit, right? Am I getting that right?
Oh, you're picking it up fast, man.
I am. Look at that, man. I'm picking it up faster than Trey Lance. Not for real, like Jordan. newly christened Jordan Elliott, NBC analyst, is with us, guys. This is a very big moment. Jordan, no, talk to me about really, like, give me some real insight into what you saw these last 3 drives with Trey Lance, man. I feel like he bounced back after a rough start.
Yeah, I thought he did good. One thing before the last drive, I don't know if it was just, I'm not analyzing every single play. Obviously, I haven't watched like game film or anything yet, but like it felt like there were a lot of just untimely drops that I don't know whose fault it was, again, because it was just happening in real time. But I was like, it really feels like he's not having any favors done for him either by the people responsible for catching the football. Mm-hmm. And it was nice to see that kind of worked itself out. And like Ronnie Bell is really good. I would be genuinely surprised if Ronnie Bell.
He has to make the 53, right?
He has to make the team. And I would be surprised if he doesn't have like a pretty prominent role within the team. And it wasn't just him catching the ball. I think he had like 114 receiving yards, if I saw correctly. But like even when he was blocking, like he was blocking with a purpose and an intensity that like I think that's the kind of stuff that's really going to fire them up in the meeting rooms. Obviously, when he's
the interception's not good.
Yeah, stuff like that's not good. And it's cool to see him stiff arming people and picking up extra yards after the catch and all that stuff. But what he was doing as a blocker, I'm like, that's what's going to get you on the team and have you, in a good role as a rookie.
Hell yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like with Ray McCloud not being there now, it really opens up a spot for this team. And who's it going to be? I've kind of firmly, and Jordan, you watched more of camp than I did. Conley, I thought was somebody that would be there. Obviously now I kind of believed early on that Deshaun Jameson was going to be someone who you can't keep on this roster. You can't keep off this roster. Today didn't necessarily look as good. I don't know how much stock they're going to put in just into that game, but I don't see how you can look people in the face and say that you're going to put Ronnie Bell on the practice squad or not on this 53-man roster. Because if he goes on our practice squad, someone's going to pick him up, right, Jordan?
Yeah, I would be surprised if they even got to that point. Like, I feel like he's done everything that's been asked of him. I thought he looked good during camp, too. And, the biggest thing to me with him, like, when I was watching him at Michigan last year was that, like, he didn't do any one thing that I would point to and be like, wow, he really is just blowing me away doing this one particular thing. But he did everything at a adequate level, which I think we get so caught up in trying to find, like, superstars at every position that people like that get overlooked, where it's like, this guy is going to do his job and give you a baseline level of competence where when you pair that with Kyle, the scheme, and the playmakers they have, like you're going to get open. You just have to show up and do your job. And obviously that's easier said than done because it's very difficult to play in the NFL. I'm not going to, pretend like everybody can just step in and do what he's doing. But the fact that he is able to do that right away from, day one, to me, maybe he never will be a number one, wide receiver, right? Maybe he won't be number one option in a passing attack, but he's a guy that you can filter into your offense for, like, I can see him being a guy sticking around for 4 or 5 years. Like it's different styles of play, but Juwan Jennings does the same kind of thing where it's like, hey, I'm not building an offense around Juwan Jennings, but he is going to be a key part of my offense succeeding. Right.
Right. And Jesse says, man, I've never heard Rich sound like this before. I think you need to like put on your accent a little bit more.
Christ, man. Jordan Love's out here throwing dimes.
Jordan Love is what everybody thinks Brock Purdy is, man.
Man. What are we doing? Matt LaFleur is coaching circles around him, man. Christ, man.
They're running arches over there with the Packers, and it's great. Let me ask you a question, though, Jordan, a serious question. Brock Purdy gets on the field for one drive. Kind of just feels like everything looked like it did last year. Should anybody be surprised by that?
No, not at all. And I think the biggest thing with Brock Purdy is that he takes what's there. And with Kyle, there's always going to be something there. And I think while everybody gets caught up in like, well, he doesn't have the biggest arm or he's not the, biggest guy or the best athlete and all these things that we hear about, he's been the guy, in my opinion, in the, 8 games and what we saw today that we've seen of him. He's taken what's there more consistently and more often than any other quarterback I can remember in the time that Kyle's been here. And because of that, I think that that's firmly what has placed him in this tier where it's like they have no doubt in their mind that he's the guy. So I think it shouldn't really come as a surprise that the offense looked like it was humming when he was out there, because that's pretty much how it's been the entire time he's been the quarterback. And, I think it's so frequently talked about, like, well, is he going to regress? Our defense is going to catch up, which is a fair talking point. But if you talk about that, you also have to talk about, will he get better with experience? Will he start to recognize coverages and some of these things that people are throwing at him? So everything I've seen would lead me to believe that at minimum, even if he doesn't go too far one way or the other, like they can win a lot of games with him. Can they win the Super Bowl? I don't know. It's really hard to do that, but they can at least be in a position to do that, which in my eyes is all you can ask for with how tough this league is, right?
Thank you, Jordan. I'm so glad that you said that, because everyone's like, can you win a Super Bowl with him? Well, let's look around at the elite quarterbacks. Joe Burrow doesn't have a ring. Josh Allen doesn't have a ring. The only guy that's elite that has a ring is Patrick Mahomes. So, Jordan, is it hard to win a Super Bowl? Is it really hard to win a Super Bowl? Or is it easy?
I would say it's extremely hard to win a Super Bowl.
Thank you.
I wish I had a cooler adjective or something. I feel like I fell short there, but the layup was there and I completely whiffed.
No, but that's my thing, right? It's the same discourse around Kyle Shanahan and this team. How can you not win a Super Bowl? How can you not do this and how can you not do that? Well, 31 teams walk away every single year, and it seems to be there was this one guy who basically won all of them, and was in position to win all of them, and now he's not in the league. And now it's the same thing for the new guy who basically is going to be in position or going to be walking away with it. It's just funny to me how everybody either wants an elite quarterback like they're growing on trees and just wants to win a Super Bowl as if it's easy. And as if there aren't there's factors that are outside of just having a great roster, great coach, even a great quarterback. I think that's just funny. And Jesse says Jet McKinnon has a ring.
Yeah.
You're goddamn right he does. You're goddamn right he does. And he made the best play of that Super Bowl by sliding at the one. Selfish, Jerick McKinnon. He could have scored the game-winning touchdown. But Jordan, that's my point about the whole Super Bowl argument. You got to win a Super Bowl. You got to win a Super Bowl. Okay. John Harbaugh has one. Sean Payton has one. Andy Reid has one. Oh, well, Andy Reid has two, right? Like right now, right? Mike Tomlin has one. We're talking about some of the best coaches in the league. They only have one. Pete Carroll, your beloved Pete Carroll, he has one. And I think a lot of people get wrapped up in, well, they've got to win a Super Bowl. Okay. Then everybody else feels the same exact way, but they can't get it done either. And that's my problem more than anything. We got another caller. Jordan, stay on real quick.
Okay.
Let me get this out the way real quick. What's up, bro?
Oh, what's going on, brother?
Hey, man, I saw you sipping that sip, before you got on and everything.
Oh, yeah. I ain't trying to hide it neither.
No.
There.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
What's going on? How you feeling tonight? What did you think about Trey's performance tonight?
Man, that's why I tapped in real quick. I didn't expect to hop on like how you put me in, but hey, I'm gonna tell you like this, bro. I'm real proud of the kid, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like I saw him dropping dimes. It was some ups and downs, a little roller coaster ride. He's been on that his whole time in the NFL, but seeing the progress, bro, that with him going through and just like his check downs, bro, sometimes it was a little bit late, but he was getting into rhythm, bro, in that last little drive. What really got me messed up, bro, was I was really hoping for him to go down and make that touch, to score the touchdown on that, which when Jake Moody came in and, hit the field goal. But I'm like, man, this is Trey Lance's time right here, bro. But I understand how football goes, but it's a preseason game. Let the man go down there and make that drive, get in there and make that touchdown. I believe that he would have made it, bro. Like I was getting over. Go ahead. No.
So just let me ask you a question. Like, don't you think that it felt like there was a little bit of situational football being played there, where it was like,
yes, yeah, it felt like we were doing something to where like we're about to go to the Super Bowl. Like let them play, like give him his chance to do that. Let him show it.
Can I ask you a question, and I'll pass it to Jordan to give his thoughts on this? As 49er fans, are we not a little bit triggered by like the idea of trying to score from like the 4-yard line with 4 plays? Like
the 4-yard line, bro. Like, really? Come on, bro.
I mean, look, the Super Bowl didn't end the right way that we wanted it to. Like,
exactly. So like let's try something different. Why we keep going the same route? Like, man.
Jordan, what do you think about the way the 49ers handled that at the end there with Trey to get it from Moody?
I mean, it makes sense because you have to, especially considering how like bad
he was
before. Like you have to, it's a preseason game, so it doesn't count. But like, if Jake Moody had missed that kick, like I think there was actually a lot of pressure there because if he had missed that kick, which in all would have been hilarious. Like if I'm being completely honest,
exactly.
I literally tweeted, I was like, Jake Moody has the opportunity to do the funniest thing of all time right now. Like, and it would have been crushing because it would have kind of overshadowed how good Trey and the rest of that, third team, whatever you want to label that offense, the group that was out there. They did a really good job in that situational football moving downfield. But man, I probably would have laughed as hard as I have in a long time. And he almost did miss it. Like that barely made it. But maybe that's like the confidence builder he needed, because if he
that's what I think. That's what I think they were thinking too, Jordan. But it's almost funny because you when you were writing for Niners Nation, you wrote an article about the reliability of Robbie Gould and how you almost take that for granted, right? And as much as we talk crazy, or me, not we, me, about Robbie Gould wanting out, Robbie Gould not wanting to be there, and like he franchise tagging a kicker and all that stuff, I kind of feel like we don't know what we got till it's gone. And that's kind of what Greg Papa and Tim Ryan were talking about. Did you catch any of that for Life Niner?
Oh, yeah. I noticed that, bro. I noticed he was talking about it too.
Yeah.
He was talking about it, man. And one thing, like, it's what I understood at the time when it was happening. I'm like, man, Trey Lance, give him his chance to go in there and get that touchdown. But I saw what they did as far as like breaking Moody on like in tough situations. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's at the end of the day, it's on what's in the front of the jersey, and that's a Niner symbol. You know what I'm saying? So it's that part. But I'm like, man, let Trey Lance get his business cracking. But I understood it on both sides of the spectrum. Like, okay, Jake Moody got to get out there. He missed that one field goal, but he went in there and made that one to win us the game. Mm-hmm. So it benefits the team at the end of the day. You feel what I'm saying?
And the thing is too, is like Moody has to work.
Yeah.
He has to work. Like he has to be the kicker, right? Like I think what the 49ers are doing by keeping Zane Gonzalez around is teams are getting desperate. You're seeing teams cut kickers. Brandon McManus gets cut. Tristan Vizcaino got cut from the Cowboys, 49ers legend. Maybe they're thinking that maybe someone sends them, even if the 49ers get a 7th round pick for Zane Gonzalez, I think that's a huge win, because even if that guy doesn't make the team, the 49ers have shown that they are great back on the back end with drafts. But Moody has to work. And that's why, like, I'm look, again, I'm going to get my jokes off. I'm going to get my jokes off. If you know anything about me, if he misses a kick, I'm going to get my jokes off. But I don't want him to miss kicks.
Real shit.
I am not going to back off this. It is poor process to pick a kicker with a draft pick. But I do not want this young man to fail just because I didn't enjoy the process. For Life Niner, I'm going to get you out of here real quick, though, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Hey, appreciate you, bro.
Hey, man, enjoy that drink. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your Saturday. That was a fun-ass game, man. I'm glad you called.
All right. Hey, you too, brother. You have a good one.
Thank you, man. Later. Jordan. So we talked about Brock Purdy. Talked about Trey Lance. Let's talk about Sam Darnold. Kind of when I was watching, I was just listening to Greg Papa and Tim Ryan, and there was a throw to the flat to Coletto, right, for the touchdown. And they were like, what an amazing throw. Like he really got it out there on time. And I just was like, okay, like maybe I'm not like diagnosing the play correctly. Trey Lance kind of made the same exact throw on the next drive. Tell me a little bit about what I'm missing, I guess, with Sam Darnold, Jordan. That's kind of what I guess I'm asking.
I mean, it's really hard because, like, with Sam Darnold, I think the biggest difference between the two that, like, I would say is just that he's had more, like, people point at, like, all the things he's done wrong in his big sample size, which is fair. You can't ignore it. But he's also done some things right that I think it's just, like, it's not any, indictment on Trey. Trey Lance hasn't had the opportunity to do that same, like, so this is a fascinating number, right? I talked about this with Steph on her pod earlier because it blew my mind when I saw this. Sam Darnold and Jimmy Garoppolo have almost the same amount of starts, and Jimmy Garoppolo has been in the league for 10 seasons, right? So Jimmy's, I believe, started 57 regular season games, and Sam Darnold started 55.
55.
So that means that this guy has basically the same amount of workload we've seen from Jimmy G. So to me, like, when you're talking about Sam Darnold, like, there's more things that maybe if you're an NFL coach, you could point to that we're not seeing in real time. And again, if you don't know what's being asked of players on every play and where the progressions are going, it's really hard, because I don't think that, like, Sam Darnold is out there, like, running circles around Trey Lance or anybody else for that matter, right? But it could be something where it's like maybe he's processing what they're asking him to in a quicker manner, or he's
seeing it the way Kyle wants him to see it.
Exactly. And that could be the case. I'm not saying that's the case, right? Because I don't know. But to me, that's like the only thing that would really make a ton of sense. I thought it was wild that I think Trey came in with like 1:22 left in the third quarter. And I'm like, man, like that just doesn't really, it didn't make a ton of sense to me unless he's going to play a lot in the third preseason game. In which case I'd imagine, like Purdy's probably going to play more than one series too, right? So then you get into the situation where you're having to like divvy it up. So I think at the end of the day, there's certain things that are probably happening in practice, the meeting rooms maybe, where there's something that we're not able to see that we're not privy to, because I don't think that Kyle Shanahan is out here trying to sabotage himself or this team with some undying blind love for Sam Darnold and disdain for Trey Lance. It feels like that's how it gets portrayed a lot. And I just think that's so counterproductive to every, thing a successful football team does, which without the Super Bowl, even the 49ers are a successful football team and have been, right? So I think it's just something where like there are certain things they're probably asking him to do that maybe he's separating himself, and we just aren't able to pick that apart because we don't know what's being asked of these guys in the meeting rooms and the stuff leading up to the games. But I thought Trey looked good, the last couple drives, right? And it's one of those things where it probably will get diminished by a lot of people because they'll say it was the fourth quarter of a preseason game and there's a lot of, backups or guys that will make rosters. And it's like, well, there's a lot of guys on the 49ers that aren't going to make the roster that were out there too. It's not like he was out there throwing to Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel and stuff like that. So, at the end of the day, I think he just has to do what he can with the reps he's given. And I thought that towards the end of the game, he started to rebound pretty well, which is all you can ask if somebody, doesn't hit the ground running right away, right?
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? And, I made like a snarky remark on Twitter, before you got on here. I don't know if you were watching before, but yeah, you need to see the guy who's played 55 games. He has the most starts of this entire quarterback room. All of them, like
a lot,
by a lot, by a ton. Like it's not even really close. But you need to see him, but you don't need to give reps to the young man that desperately needs reps and will only get these reps during preseason. I forget who I was watching that summed it up perfectly. And I think it was Steve Young on KMBR when I got to listen to the whole thing. And he said the only way he's going to get reps is during preseason, because barring an injury, he's not going to see any regular season reps, which are more valuable in my opinion than any preseason game, anything like that. But we have to look at it in a certain way. But I thought it was kind of funny that it's just like, yeah, man, just make sure you get Darnold as many reps as possible. Now, playing devil's advocate, let's just say in another way, do you think that there's any way that, Kyle is like, well, I want to protect my quarterback too by only giving him a little bit of reps and just letting him see what this guy has to do with this? But this kind of felt more like a little bit more of a dress rehearsal than anything, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and I think you nailed it, where it could just be something where it's like he's had Sam in the building for 6 months. They've had Trey in the building for 3 years now. So it doesn't mean that like, oh, we've seen enough from Trey. More so than in my eyes, it would be like we have a good idea of what we're getting from him, especially because he was the number one quarterback all offseason, OTAs, mini camp last year, where they probably have a good idea of where he stands and what they can call for him, what they are going to be able to ask of him and whatnot. That's probably still a feeling out process for Darnold, at this point. And
Brian says, thank you for the donation again, Brian. So, Jordan, do you think possibly Kyle just wanted to see what we saw from Lance tonight? I think he's seen it in practice. What do you think about that, Jordan? This is directly to you.
So if there's something more specific, Brian, please elaborate. I'd be happy to, if I want to make sure I'm answering it properly. But
okay, yeah, like in terms of what we saw from Lance tonight. Okay.
Yeah, so like if it was just seeing him, respond in a situational, thing where it's, hey, there's a little over 2 minutes left, you're down 2, you got to move the ball and get in field goal range, then yeah, I think that is absolutely something where just from the practices I've watched, and this goes back a couple of years, there hasn't been consistency. And it's not that Trey Lance hasn't been able to do it. It's just that it's been more consistent. It was more consistent when Jimmy was here in 2021 and it was his rookie year. And then this past year, Brock Purdy was the guy in the practices I attended where when the move the ball stuff and all the situational stuff was happening, it was more consistent. So yeah, I thought that Trey Lance he won them the game, and it's a preseason game, right? So people are going to say, oh, it doesn't matter. But in that moment, he did what any quarterback would be asked to do if we're grading them on a, success or a fail, right? And I thought especially like that third, I think it was like 3rd and 13, right? So he had a great, if I'm remembering correctly, he had a great throw on the first down that got called back for the holding. And he rolled out, he bought time, he threw the ball downfield. So he's sitting in 1st and 20, and it wasn't, I didn't see why the hold happened, so I don't want to say whose fault it was, right? But let's just assume it wasn't.
It was Kyle Shanahan's fault.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, right? Let's assume it was his fault, right? So at this point, you're now in a spot where you're 20 yards back. The defense knows you're going to throw the ball because you only have a certain amount of time. So it's not like he was out there just hitting layups that were getting schemed up, right? And then that 3rd and 13 he hit, I think it was to Latu, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Like, that's a big-time throw. And it doesn't matter if it's the 3rd string in a preseason game or a regular season game. It's situational football. And those are the kind of things that I'm sure are going to, elate Kyle and the coaching staff and Greasy and whoever else is grading this game film. So if that's what you were asking, Brian, like did he see the situational football that he wanted to see? Then I think yes, because there's been flashes of it. But at the same time, too, like we only get to see so much from practice that it's hard to see why certain plays are happening. Whereas with this, we have game film. We can go back and look and see why these things are unfolding.
36 minutes in, we've got almost 250 people in here. Shout out to you guys. If you don't know, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live. Follow this man who works for NBC. And if you're here for a treat because someone's back. All the way back. All the way back. It's the legend. It's the Podfather. This feels like 49 GM all over again. Literally the group that literally put it on their back right now. Look at it is Javier Vega. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, guys? I just got out of work, so you caught me at a good time. I was like,
just got out of work. Got out of work wearing his Lance jersey.
No, I was like, I felt good. The kid made some plays. I got the last 7 minutes of the game. I'm like, what we've been saying for 2 years, the kid has to play. You got to give him rhythm. You got to get him in the rhythm. You got to give him reps. You got to see what you have. Like, to me, like, I understand you're sold on Brock Purdy, Kyle. We get it. John Lynch, you're all in on that guy. Awesome. But you used all these picks for this kid, and there's talent there, right? We all know he struggles with some things. But the only way the kid's going to get better, like any other player in the league, is to play him. You got to have some reps. Now, are the Niners done with him? I don't know. But, cool, he played in the third quarter for a minute and a half, and then he plays most of the fourth quarter, all the fourth quarter. He shows you some stuff that you see the flashes. He has it in him. He's just a rhythm passer. It's the same thing as in the Texans game. He started off slow, got in the rhythm, made some plays. Now, I have my concerns with Trey, but I don't know, man. I have a hard time giving up on this kid, and you see that there's potential there. It's just like, plus it was a good day, man. Like overall, like you see the kid make some plays, and I put up 40 bands at work. Like I feel really good today. You know what I'm saying? Like this is what we do.
I mean, don't flex on us, man. All I did was just sit in the crib, watching the game, man. I didn't put.
Today was a good day. Today was a good day in the car business.
I love to hear that, man. Shout out to Javier Vega joining. Just little old me and Jordan, on here. Jordan in his
he's in NBC right now, bro.
I know this is big.
NBC.
This is huge, man. Like
Seinfeld was on
don't
NBC.
You understand? Don't you understand that? Like when we started what we started, like everybody went different ways. Like Jordan was like trying to say that because I was joining PFWA, which by the way, Jordan is a member of, by the way, that all of a sudden I started looking down on people. And by the way, can we talk about this real quick? When you join Pro Football Writers of America, you have to pay dues to actually get in. So it's not like, hey, you're just in. Like you have to like give them money, like for them to like let you in, man. Like that's the stuff. Like I didn't get that part. I did it. And all I got out of it was I got a free NFL Plus subscription, so I get the tape for free and all that stuff.
I mean, all I know is Jerry Seinfeld and Jordan Elliott are the same person.
Same person? I think Larry David and Jordan Elliott are the same person. More
NBC,
than
man. NBC.
No, well, it's no. Hold on. Let's take it back a little bit. I think JB Smoove and Jordan Elliott are the same person. I think I'm a little bit closer to Larry than Jordan is. I think he's a way. Yeah, right. I'm Larry and you're JB Smoove, right? Like that's like when we vibe. Yeah, all right. Double B Studio, thank you for the donation again. Trey saved the game. It was looking ugly, man. It was fun, man. At the end of this game, it was fun, and we kind of talked about it, Javi, before. the situational football portion of it, right? It's like, why wouldn't you just let him go for the touchdown? Well, there's a little bit more to play. You got to make sure Moody can make the kick and start to get him in the right direction. But you also want Trey to understand that there are going to be games where if you are in the game, you have to engineer this drive to set up a field goal. And I think all of that stuff was very important. And I think that's all part of the development process.
I mean, how many times do we see that with Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yeah.
Late in game. Hey, all we need is 3. Let's just finish this thing up, get out of here unscathed, and let's just finish the game, whether it's 17-13 or 20-17, whatever it is. How many Robbie Gold game-winning field goals have we had, in the last 5 years? Plenty, right? And this is what you want. And Kyle's setting that up. Would I prefer a touchdown? Absolutely. Build the kid's confidence up. But what if he turns the ball over? What if TDP fumbles the ball, right? Now you lose the game. So I understand what they're doing. Situational football was something that I think all 3 of us talked about with Trey. Like, that's another part of his game he has to develop. And he got some of that experience there. Granted, in the fourth quarter of a preseason game, it's meaningless, but those reps are valuable for this kid. I've been catching up with some of y'all guys, in the chat, and then of course with the other podcasts and kind of chiming in here and there. Trey Lance hasn't been afforded the 400 or 500, 600 reps to work through the kinks, right? He's got 400 total reps from college till now. Like, he needs these reps, and he got 20 passes, right? 20 attempts. What is it? What do you finish? 17-20.
Today, I think so.
12 of 18. That's
12
20.
18
That's
with the
20 pass reps. Yeah, and the interception. It's a mistake, but it's a mistake you can learn from. Hey, maybe don't flatten that out so much. Maybe
put
drop
some more
back.
air under it.
Yeah, put some more air under it, and maybe fall back and do that. Do like a little fadeaway type of throw. Jimmy used to do that all the time with pressure in his face. Those are the game reps that he's going to need, and it's frustrating that he hasn't gotten them. I understand where the Niners are in their situation and their timeline of this roster, right? This is a win now team. They got 2 years. In my eyes, they got 2 years. I've been tweeting through it, and people have misconstrued my words through tweets, but from my mouth to this is what it is. Like, one guy was bitching at me the other day, aging roster. I'm like, yeah, bro, George Kittle's going into year 8. Trent Williams is almost 40.
How many times?
What are we talking about?
Trent, Kittle, how many more years do they have at this point?
Dog, Fred is in year 7.
Not every NFL player can age gracefully like Jason Aponte, right?
Oh, hey. And I'm not old. Stop playing. Yo, will you stop playing with me? Like, yo, what the hell, man? Like, and we're not going to put out my age on this, but Jordan, I did want to ask you, and
it would surprise people. It would surprise people.
It definitely would surprise people my actual age. It really would. But I do want to ask you this, and I'm gonna pass it to Jordan after I ask this, and then right after Javi, you can. I'm gonna hop off camera real quick. I'm still gonna be here, but today, for me, didn't change the way I felt about this team because I already knew how preseason goes and how that doesn't necessarily matter as much. But is it really just the Eagles and the 49ers at this point in the NFC, or is there someone else? Good. Jordan, go first, and then Javi.
Dallas, baby. Dallas is
Why would you say that?
Dallas might be the best team in the NFC, and it's really hard to say that right now because it's the preseason.
You ain't lying.
I'm saying that now because when they actually start playing games and look really good, I want it to be known that I'm not bandwagon jumping, but like
Jordan from NBC told you
that team is really good. Hey man, I mean, like Seattle or a year or 2 away. I would have loved to said Seattle, but I have to be serious, right? But Dallas, like I think what gets lost with Dallas is that Dak last year, I don't think the scheme did him any favors. He had to force a lot of balls. I don't think he's going to have to be anywhere near as aggressive as he was last year. And again, like saying stuff like this right now, people are going to laugh at me. I'm sure I'll get made fun of in Jason's comments and stuff. If I had to pick,
don't read the comments.
I don't care if they do or not. I'll stand 10 toes on this right now.
All right.
Dak Prescott's the best quarterback in the NFC. Like
right now,
the quarterback that I want out of all the available quarterbacks in the NFC, it's Dak Prescott. And that's no disrespect to Jalen Hurts or Kirk Cousins or Geno or any of these other guys. Dak's done it for longer, and Dak is the guy that I would take over all of them. And it's like, oh, he threw the most interceptions and the Cowboys losing the playoffs and all these jokes that get thrown around. If it wasn't for the 49ers having a near historic defense last year, Dallas goes into Philly in that championship game. Maybe they get to play that game with a quarterback. Who knows what happens if they get a quarterback for 4 quarters against a division rival. So I would just say this, and like Mozzie Smith looks insane. Like for a rookie that's just breaking in the league, he looks really good. So I would say, like, right now, it's, again, people get their jokes off. They'll laugh. The 49ers, for as much as everybody wants to put them, in a tier that they've earned, right? Like, they've been a really good team. They barely beat Dallas each of the last 2 years, right? And, hey, a win's a win. Like, they all count the same.
Yeah, you don't get style points to move on. You just got to finish the game.
It's not like they were steamrolling this Cowboys team, right? And again, it's one of those where I think they got better. You add veterans like Brandon Cooks, Stephon Gilmore to that secondary. Micah Parsons if you have Bosa ahead of him, I totally get it, but he's right behind him in my eyes. If we're talking guys who impact the game on that side of the ball, and Dan Quinn is really good defensive coordinator.
He is. He really is. I think he earned my respect in this last the divisional game for sure. Javi.
You go ahead, Javi, yeah.
I agree with you on Dallas. I think Dallas is really good, but I think the other thing that people need to watch out for is the Saints.
The Saints?
The Saints had like a top 15 defense last year. If it wasn't for shit quarterback play, they probably won 10 games. Derek Carr, we can talk shit about Derek Carr we want, but we've seen Jimmy Garoppolo win 12, 13 games with a really good defense and just being, Mr. Dink and Dunk and doing what he needs to do. If Derek Carr can stay healthy, the Saints should be good, and the NFC South is absolutely atrocious. So the Saints should win their division. If we remember correctly, the Niners won 13-0 over the Saints. That defense was solid, and that defense got better. I like the Saints in this. I don't think they're going to be.
Isn't Derek Carr an upgrade over Andy Dalton? Can we at least say that?
Yeah, like let's be real here. Like
let's just be real. I know we get our jokes off about Derek Carr too, but they're like he's an upgrade.
Is he upgrade over Jameis though?
Don't get Andrew Pasquini started.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints, they don't scare me by any means, but I think they're a team that you're going to watch and be like, oh shit, they won 12 games. How the hell did they win 12 games? Where'd they come from?
That division is going to be terrible, man. They have 6 layup games. Yeah.
You're walking into 6. You're walking into at least 5 wins in the NFC South. So they're right there at 5. All you need to do is win 5 more, and you're in the playoffs. Yeah. Right. So they're a playoff team. When it comes to Dallas, I just think ultimately Mike McCarthy doesn't do it for me. Do I think they're a good team? Yeah, absolutely. But I think if I have to choose between Mike McCarthy and Kyle Shanahan, I'm going to take Kyle Shanahan in the game. I think Kyle's going to prep his team much better than McCarthy would. I went to the game in Dallas. The Niners were steamrolling them for a little while, and then Jimmy Garoppolo decided to give them the game. Right? There's a difference in that one. And then last year, of course, Brock Purdy didn't play well. He didn't look good. Dan Quinn had him run all over the place. Trent Williams didn't have a good game. But the Niners ultimately pulled it out because they were just a better coach team at the end of the day. Right?
And Dak they made more plays. They made more plays. Yeah. And Dak threw 2 very big interceptions in that game.
But I mean, I agree with you. The NFC's quarterback situation isn't the greatest, right? Okay, cool. We have Brock Purdy. Awesome. No one knows shit about this kid because he's played 8 games. Kirk Cousins, we know who he is. Dak, we know who he is. Like, if you're going to rank them, yeah, I mean, it could be you can go Jalen Hurts, and you're going to probably go Dak Prescott. So if you're going to make fun of Jason for saying number 1, okay, he's number 2 then. Like, Jalen Hurts, then Dak, right?
You mean Jordan? I didn't say that.
Oh, sorry. I mean, but that's my point. Like, Jordan. What are your choices?
I know we're really tall and we're from Wedding Crashers, but he's Jordan. I'm Jason. Javi.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like, what are your choices? You have Jalen Hurts and then Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott. Those are your other 2. Daniel Jones.
Are we talking crazy about
Derek Carr?
Are we talking about future 49ers quarterback Kirk Cousins? Is that what we're doing?
Yo, you know what? Can I get something off my chest?
Do it.
I've been talking about Kirk Cousins for like 5 years.
And now everybody's on the wave?
Nothing but just pushback. People crapped all over me. He does one little documentary, and now everybody loves Kirk Cousins. He's always been this guy. Like, he's literally like nothing has changed, dude.
I think the only thing that changed for me was knowing that he played through that rib injury the whole year, and then in that Dallas game he took a huge hit and kept going. Like,
he never misses games. Like, it's just, I mean, I'm not saying
he doesn't miss games.
Like, it's process of elimination. Like, all these guys are getting hit, and he never misses games. He's pulling up every Sunday with socks on and flip-flops and those, like, Midwest.
Swagger only gets you so far.
The mandals, like the man sandals.
The mandals.
Like 40-year-old dads wear on vacation. Like, I know Javi's got a pair of those in the closet.
He got with the thong sandals. Like, I mean, the man spent 3 months in Turks and Caicos. It felt like on some crazy
3 months.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The dude's like, I'm never leaving here, dude. I'm like, bro, I was like, I feel like you haven't left. But look, real quick.
It was a week.
A week. That he's not there right now? Like,
I was going to say, right? Like,
I'm in my new big-ass crib.
All right, there you go. Juan Santiago says, am I the only one concerned about this defense? Javi, I'll start with you, and then you can go to Jordan.
You should be concerned about this defense.
Why is that?
Who's their nickel corner right now?
Diam Dolanor.
And who's the other corner?
Ambry Thomas played well, but he gave up a very big catch on a slant and go. That's concerning.
I am not comfortable with the secondary.
Okay.
I'm not comfortable with the secondary. I'm not comfortable with the guy behind Drake Greenlaw and Fred Warner. The depth is not there. Aziz is gone. Your second pass rusher, is Drake Jackson going to do anything at all? Or is it Cleveland Farrell? Now we're counting on Cleveland Farrell, the guy who flamed out in Oakland, right? Okay, Chris Cassera can only work so many miracles, right? Eventually you have to stop going to the scrap pile to get pass rushers. Jim, Hargraves, Armstead, Bosa going to sign anytime soon? Like, can we get some reps with this guy together?
Hope so.
And Steve Wilkes, do we know how he's going to coach this team? The whole all preseason is, we're going to stick with what we do, and we're going to have him throw in his wrinkles. Do we know that he can call games as good as D'Amico did? Like those are my questions, right? Do we know if he can call a game as good as D'Amico? I mean, how many times did D'Amico would adjust and the other team wouldn't score a point in the second half? Master classes by D'Amico Ryans, right? I don't know that Steve Wilkes has that in the bag. That's another concern. So I mean, cool. They were number one last year, right? It's very hard to replicate.
But do they need them
that.
to be number one, Javi? Yeah, I was going to say, do they need them to be number one?
No, but the expectation now is that they're number one because you have Fred Warner, you have Bosa, you got Hufanga, you got Ward.
And I hope this doesn't come off wrong, but I think if Trey Lance was starting, you might need them to be number one.
No, it's not. That's a realistic. That's a realistic idea. Like that's a realistic way to think about it, right? Trey's going to need if Trey was playing, he would need the support from his defense. The way Brock Purdy needed the support from his defense. The way Jimmy Garoppolo.
Brock can win with a top five. I think Brock can win with a top five defense, and I think I think even worst case scenario, the top five. I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, top five's fine, but the expectation of they got to be number one. That's where the fans. I shouldn't say fans because we're all fans, but people out there were like they set these unrealistic bars for the defense. It's like, dog, they're not 20 interceptions again. That's a really hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Right. The Niners haven't had 50 sacks since 2019. They haven't done that in a while. Right. Who's their second best pass rusher? Armstead, is he going to finish the season?
Hargrave,
is he going to give you 12 sacks like he did Philly? Or whatever.
He looked really good today. I'll give him that in his limited time. I don't think we really need to worry about that.
Yeah, so I have my concerns. I have my concerns with this team being able to replicate what they've done the last 3 years or 2 years, excuse me. Because doing this
and that's fair.
3 years in a row is tough.
That's fair, and it's the NFL, right? Like there's positive and negative regression the whole time. Jordan, what's your thoughts on being concerned about this defense?
I mean, like they could be the 7th best defense in the league this year.
I'm sorry. I know we're supposed to talk, but we always make this joke about Javier being Dak.
They look this. They really could be.
You really do look the same, man. I'm sorry.
I just need to be like 6'4". I'm like,
no, it's fine. It's fine. Go for it, Jordan. Oh my God, it's so good. Beast Mode Gaming.
Yeah, like I mean, it just makes me feel better that I thought I was crazy.
No, you're not the only one.
Like, Javi kind of looks like Dak Prescott.
Javi kind of looks like Dak. We always talk about that all the time.
Javi's more swole, but I mean, other than that, it's pretty. It balances out the height thing you mentioned. So
100%. And also, I would take Javi in a fight over Dak 100%, like every single time.
Yeah, I never got my ass kicked like that.
No, Jordan, serious analysis.
All right.
Are you worried about the 49ers defense this season?
I mean, no, just because I'm going to keep saying it until I'm eventually wrong one year, because every year it's like, this is the year the defense falls off a cliff. Like I remember last year, I forget who it was, so I apologize for not directly referencing the person. Yeah. There was somebody that was like an analyst somewhere or covered a different team that was talking about how the Niners defense was due for this like massive regression and they were going to be really bad last year and all these different things. And I'm like, I've been hearing that for 4 years and every year they're really good. So until I see it happen, I'm just going to believe it's going to continue to happen. And guess what? They were once again one of, if not the best defenses in the league. Like, yeah, you can't, losing like a guy like Jimmy Ward, right? Like losing a guy like that, right? That's really hard.
By the way, I think the deal that he got over Isaiah Oliver was an extra $2 million, if I'm not mistaken.
And who knows what the,
$3 million.
It's not always money, right? Like there could be some other things going on there that we don't know about.
Of course.
Yeah, right. If that was about money, Like that looks like really, like a decision where it's like, I don't know, man. You only have so many years left with this window. It's not like Jimmy Ward's 38, right, or 39.
No,
he's like 32, 33, if I remember correctly. Like,
and what if Jimmy Ward? What if Jimmy Ward wasn't all the way comfortable being a nickel, right? Like, what if what if they said, hey, you need to do this, and he was just a team player, but what if that's not what he really wanted to do? He wanted to be paid as a safety.
Well, I'll be honest too. Like, Sean Gibson was phenomenal last year, and if you get 80% of that this year, they're going to be a really good team.
Of course.
I think it's almost impossible to expect that he's going to play at that level again, because that's just extremely unprecedented for somebody with that kind of career arc, where they were always like a really solid player, and then they jumped to like a borderline elite level at like 31 or 32. And maybe he does do it. I think he's a really good football player, but it would be unfair to expect him to. And I think that's the biggest difference. So it's like you're almost betting on that. And then you have to get younger in the NFL, right? And it goes back to Bill Walsh. Bill Belichick did it. It's better to be a year early than be a year late with guys. So in an ideal world, you have Jair Brown, who's going to eventually pair on the back end with Huff, right? That's
Tigges saved 2 touchdowns in his first 2 games.
So on paper, that looks really good. But you know what else looks really good? Watching Jimmy Ward clamp down opposing offenses year after year after year. And it's just really hard to expect there to be this seamless transition where you get another really good year of Gibson and then Brown's ready to just step right in. And maybe it does happen, but
you almost expect JKBG to be in here, like regardless. He is easily and this is no shade because we have a ton of great commenters and great viewers, but JKBG
is one of the best.
He always.
I think it was Gab. I don't remember, but when they signed Hartfield, and it was like the 3rd Panther they had added, he was like the 49ers. There's bits of real Panther.
Panther.
It didn't get the amount of love it deserved. And these Anchorman references just don't get the same love that other movies do, man.
If you guys are new to our Twitter personas, it's literally just vibes and like Wedding Crashers and like 40. By the way, 40-year-old virgin turned 18 today. So like, I don't know how we haven't turned in any of these tweets into any of these things or whatever. But no, seriously, like when it comes to this defense, like I'll be honest, man, I really have very little concern when it comes to it. I just think that they have too many blue chip players for things to go crazy. And I do think that if there is a regression, it's not going to be to the point where they go from a top 1-2 defense to like a 10 defense, right? Now, the flip side of that is, and this is what many teams who have one of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elite guys, go through is, the Kansas City Chiefs haven't signed Chris Jones. Are you absolutely worried that like they are not going to be like at the forefront of the discussion? No, why? Because they have a guy who can like lift on the other side. So with the 49ers, I think it's a twofold conversation. It's about, hey, the defense really, really puts you in a spot where you only need necessarily baseline production or someone who can operate the offense, which is not a slight at Brock Purdy, by the way. Though I'm not trying to get people to yell at me, but there are teams that when they pay big end quarterbacks can get away with that because those big end quarterbacks do the heavy lifting and do things that can lift the defense. Like when you get left with a minute 15 on the clock, your quarterback can get you down the field to get you in position to win this game. Maybe your defense didn't do the job all game, but you have a guy who can do the lifting. The 49ers are still trying to win a Super Bowl in a way that is unconventional by not winning it with a top elite quarterback. And that's always going to be the crux of the discussion and the reason that some people are upset. But elite quarterbacks aren't growing on trees, right? Like we just literally talked about it. Like Patrick Mahomes is going to be the guy that's probably going to be fighting. Elite quarterbacks, Josh Allen don't got one. Neither does Joe Burrow. A lot of these guys don't have one. Like they just don't have a ring. And it's hard to win Super Bowls. So from where everybody is like, oh, well, Kyle Shanahan got to win a ring. You can't do it with it. It's like, dude, there's a lot of people that don't win rings. 31 teams go home every single year without a ring. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles had a magical year. Jalen Hurts played in an incredible Super Bowl, except one play. And it still wasn't enough. It still was not enough to get it done. Teams do the best that they can every single year, and sometimes that just does not end in a Super Bowl. 49er fans are just a little bit too like with the you got to win a Super Bowl. Okay, So why doesn't everybody just go win a Super Bowl with Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or any of these guys? That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, it's a head coach and quarterback league, right? Either you have a quarterback or you don't have a head coach, right? Kind of like Justin Herbert dealing with what he's dealing with in as a Charger. The Niners, they have the head coach and they haven't figured out the quarterback. 35 head coaches have won a Super Bowl. How many Super Bowls are we at? 57, 58? Only 35 head coaches have won out of how many coaches in the league? Like this unrealistic expectation about the Niners winning the Super Bowl. It's kind of funny. Like the Jed York, our expectation was to raise Super Bowl banners. Jed, how about win have back-to-back winning seasons? Okay, cool. You got that out of the way. You got back-to-back NFC title games. Kyle Shanahan, Bill Belichick, and Andy Reid are the only 3 coaches with the most NFC title games in the last 10 years.
And look,
like they're doing what they need to do. You know what I mean?
Tomlin
like,
has won. Understand. Harbaugh has won. Like getting one has lifted these guys to elite status. Just getting one.
Elite Joe Flacco, by the way.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, when you look around, Sean Payton won, Harbaugh won, Tomlin won. Winning one is so hard for these coaches, and when they win one, now you're above reproach. Sean Payton gets no blame for the fact that his team with Drew Brees, who's an all-time quarterback, only won one. That's the part that kind of gets to me a little bit. It's just like, bro, the story's not written. And how hard is it to win Super Bowls?
The Tom Brady era is what ruined it for everybody.
It took Peyton Manning 9 years to win one, and he was a 2-time MVP. He's arguably the best quarterback of all time to some people, right? And he's in the discussion of the greatest to ever play the position.
100%.
In 9 years. The only, I don't say it's the only reason they won, but he played in a rainstorm against Rex Grossman, and that's how he won his first.
Yeah, and Devin Hester started that game with a kickoff return.
Yeah, and I just think it's one of those things where there does need to be a level of hey, the ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl, right? So I can appreciate that that's what people want to do, but in my eyes, you can't really because just like you said, so Sean Payton wins one, right? And I thought his Super Bowl was fantastic, the onside kick and the way
that's an incredible call,
incredible thing, right? But he also had a bunch of 7 and 9 seasons, and then had himself portrayed by Kevin James in the biopic about his life. Right?
That's probably the most horrific thing. But JKPG, Manning won his second ring, and Brock Osweiler carried that team to many wins that year.
Brocktober, baby. Brocktober was in full effect.
Brocktober was crazy, right? The Houston Texans traded for that man and everything as well, too.
Also, get ready for that this year. That is going to get so overused.
Oh, Brocktober? Oh, Christ, man. I don't want to, man. No.
Let's make T-shirts.
No, I don't want it. Javi, don't start, bro. Don't start. You know that right now you can't see it because there's 3 of us, but Jordan's label while we're on here is Rich Madrid. So I am requiring you, Javi, now to do the Rich Madrid impression if we were talking about that.
No, man.
Oh, man.
I mean, shit, man. Brock threw some good passes, but it was all stuff. I mean, he wasn't running anything that was arches.
What's Fangio doing over there, man?
What's Fangio running?
They're talking soccer in the chat, man. Who cares, man?
Christ, man.
Who cares about soccer, man?
I mean, Tua threw an interception. Who cares, man? Fangio's going to have them in a good position, man. Who cares? Hey, look. Yeah. Look, we're here for an hour. Shout out to you guys for all it. We've got almost 240 people still in here. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell before we go live. That is Jordan Elliott of NBC. That is Javier Vega under me, the podfather of the godfather of all this stuff, man. How we move and all that stuff, man. Final thoughts on this game. So, it's 12:30. I got a vibe. I'm gonna watch the league, because I'm lit right now. I've been drinking a Red Bull. I'm gonna be up until 5 a.m. at this point. Final thoughts on this game. I'll start with Jordan. He probably watched more of it, and then Javi, I'll go to you and you tell me your thoughts about what you saw from Trey.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's the preseason, so I think you have to account for that when you're looking at any game, right? Positives, things that you're maybe concerned about. But they're a good team, man. They're going to win a lot of football games unless they have a horrific season like they did in 2020 where just everybody got hurt. And I'll knock on wood as I say that, so I'm not the one responsible for jinxing it. But I also think that like the odds of that happening are so slim that like I'm very confident that this team's floor is 10, 11 wins, right? And on the surface, that may not sound great. People may want like the 1 seed, like they want to be the best team in the NFC. The Niners' schedule is really hard this year, and that's one of the consequences of winning your division the year before is you get that first place schedule. And then if you look at their out of division opponents that they're playing, it's the AFC North and the NFC East. And the worst team out of all of those, arguably, is Washington right now, who still is a very tough team that gave the 49ers a hard time last year. So, like, it's going to be really hard to win a lot of football games. And it's one of the reasons why, I do look at a team like Dallas or a Minnesota or one of these other teams that maybe doesn't have the same gauntlet of a schedule, where it doesn't mean that they're a better team. They just might have, like, didn't the Vikings win 12 games last year?
They did.
They did not.
They did, but nobody was scared. Nobody was nervous.
So that could happen.
This is terrible.
But the 49ers, like one thing, like, we could talk about Kyle Shanahan all kinds of ways and all the things that people – hey, man, that 50 jersey was art, dude.
I'm buying that. I buy that.
I think he's doing that on purpose, in my opinion. I'm sorry, Jordan. Keep going. I'm sorry, man.
At the end of the day, like, they're going to win a lot of football games probably, and they've shown under Kyle, like, they can go on the road and win playoff games if they have to. They've lost a couple too, but everybody does. Like, it's really hard to win playoff games in general, let alone on the road. So I would be encouraged, and I would just, it's been really obvious for a while that Brock Purdy was going to be the guy if he was healthy. He's proven that he's healthy. So until that changes, I think it's fair to be optimistic that they looked really good last year. And until we have a reason to believe otherwise, like, you could probably bet that they're going to score a lot of points. The defense is probably going to be pretty good. So I don't know, man. It all depends what people's outlook is. Like, I think they're a double-digit win team and they're a playoff team, which to me, like, that's how you should go into every NFL season. If you go into every NFL season in like the Super Bowl or bust mindset, you're going to be extremely disappointed a lot of the time. And if you're into that, that's cool, man. I'm not judgmental. I don't judge anybody for how they like to root or watch sports. I just find for me personally, I would much rather have like a lower baseline, and then anything beyond that is like playing with house money. So if the Niners don't make the playoffs, or they, even if you want to say if they don't win the West, because that Seattle team, man, I'm telling you, that Seattle team could pose problems. So
hey, man, if Jackson Smith and Jiba is
he's good, man.
Cooking, he's fucking cooking right now, dude. And for them to get Witherspoon to pair with Tariq Woolen, man, like, I understand we're 49ers fans and we hate them, but like, there's a fair argument to be made.
There's no we here, by the way. I respect that.
I mean, we know Seattle, Jordan. We know. Keep going, though.
But yeah, so I think they're a really good football team. I think that this is one of those things where, like, I always think back, like, I'm 28, right? For people that didn't know that or, couldn't tell I look super young, right? Yeah. I'm 28. So, like, for a lot of my life watching 49ers football, they were terrible. Then towards the end of my high school years, and around the time I was 17, 18, we had that stretch with Harbaugh, right? And I always think about that team because they were, in my eyes, at least the most talented team 2 of those years in the entire league. They should have won the Super Bowl the year they lost to the Ravens. It's
just how it goes, though.
So exactly. So that's where, and as much as it sucks, I still have I can think back to 24 times during that time frame where I know exactly where I was watching a game where something awesome happened, where I was, excited. And yeah, it would have been cool if they would have won the Super Bowl. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like that wouldn't have been cool. But it doesn't mean that all the like good shit that happened then doesn't matter too, right? And I just hope that people don't lose sight of like how lucky they are to have a team this good, because I promise you it could get much worse. And hey, it's a tough league, man. In 3 years, we might be talking about this team like the way we did 7 years ago, right? So I don't know, man, have fun. Like, it's a good football team. Yeah. They're probably going to beat a lot of teams by a lot. And, at the end of the day, maybe we'll get to play Dak Vega in the playoffs again. We'll see what happens.
Don't lose the sight of the forest by looking at the trees, I think is kind of what Jordan's saying. And Javi, this was asked to you real quick, and then you can give your thoughts on this team's outlook. Javi, did Latsu save his 53-man roster spot tonight? I feel they just wanted to see him catch it.
I don't know. I mean, the guy's been, a couple catches doesn't absolve you of everything else you've done, right? The drop, the fumble, the batted balls, he just doesn't look very confident. I mean, you want to keep a guy like that because he has the tools, he's developing, he's a he's making the transition to tight end. So I would hold on to him, but I can see if they were to go with Charlie Warner over him, Keith Willis, and go with Ross Dwelly, and maybe Latu goes to the practice squad. We'll see. I wasn't very big on the pick. I didn't really care for that pick too much. There was a comment in there about the jersey. Everyone remember that Trey Lance video I posted 2 years ago?
Yep.
Yeah, the one that went.
The one that everybody's using now, the practice film, the one that got like somebody kicked off the team.
One. So this jersey is authentic. It is like fully stitched on because the team sent it to me and asked me not to post any more videos of Trey Lance.
Oh, damn.
Don't
say that on my channel. They're going to ban my channel now. Oh, my God, man. What the hell?
I'm
just trying to feed my family. Christ.
They said, where'd you get that? I said, ask your players. But yeah, no, they sent that. So it is authentic. As far as the team goes, I work with a lot of Cowboys fans, and I hear the Cowboys shit all the time. I think this team, I'm with Jordan, this is a double-digit win team as long as everyone stays healthy. Whether it's Brock Purdy or Trey Lance, I think this team is going to win 10, 11, 12 games, being contention for the number 1 seed going into December. I don't know that I think this team is fragile, right? I think what I mean by fragile, I mean, if they start slow, are they going to want to go ahead and rally again like they have been the last couple of years?
And I'm glad you brought that up, Javi, because I get this a lot. And while it instills confidence in me because this team has bounced back from rough starts, I think this is the year where they cannot afford to start slow at all.
No, I agree. They can't afford to start slow, right? Do you want to chase Seattle? You don't want to chase Seattle. You don't want to go into Seattle if they're cooking, if they're on the roll. We all can make fun of Geno Smith all we want, but the guy put up crazy numbers last year. Pete Carroll has his team always prepared. It does not matter.
If that defense improves, it's a problem. It's a problem.
Yeah, and that's and you always count on Kyle Shanahan. I'm going to trust Kyle over the DC in Seattle. That's me personally, but we all know the fear that it is going into Seattle in December. Whenever it is that you play, I haven't looked at the schedule, but if you go in December and they're both 9-10 win team, right? And this is going to decide the division. That's a tough place to play, right? For either Trey Lance or Brock Purdy to go up there and solidify a playoff spot. You got Pittsburgh on the schedule. You got who else? They got Cincinnati. They got Cleveland. Like Cleveland, they got some good players over there, right? Offensive line wise in this team, McKivitz, I'm not in on McKivitz at all. So I mean, I think this team has a lot of question marks. I do trust Kyle Shanahan to a fault, but to me, this team has at the very least the divisional round game in them, right? Getting to that point, whether that be through the bye or having a wild card game and winning one playoff game. It's tough to get to 3 NFC title games in a row. Like Jim Harbaugh did it, Andy Reid has done it. Not many teams do those type of things, right? When you do those type of things because you have the quarterback to go along with it. And we don't know what Brock Purdy is all the way through, right? Niners had Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick for those 2 years. Andy Reid did it with McNabb, and then of course Bill Belichick with Tom Brady and all those guys. It's just a tough thing to do. Being able to repeat that stuff is very, very tough, and it's taxing on a team, especially when I keep bringing up this is an aging roster. That's my biggest concern. I don't want this to be a wasted thing. You mentioned it, Jason. We could be talking about or Jordan, you could be talking about this team in 2 years saying, damn, they were so good and they didn't get it done, right? The way the 11, 12, 13 teams were. Like you have all this talent. You have a future Hall of Famer in Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. You got Trent Williams. You are stacked. This roster is absolutely loaded with a couple of small pieces that need to be tweaked here and there. But this team should win as many, 10, 12 games and make a Super Bowl run. But you know how teams are, man. Sometimes just shit don't click. This roster may not gel the way the last year's roster did. There's anything can happen. It's football, right? We've seen this before, right? Teams with high expectations falter, right? They could be smelling themselves. That's why they look like shit today in the first half of the game with some of their starters in, right? This Ayuk hype, I'm all in on Ayuk. But what if he fucking falters, right? There's a lot of questions around this team. I'm not saying they're gonna be bad. I'm just saying I am not gonna get my hopes up until we're in December and I'm like, okay, cool, they're 10-2. All right, awesome. Now we got to run and let's go finish this thing off. This is the year to do it, right? The NFC is weak. The last year was the year to do it too. The NFC is not the greatest. No more Aaron Rodgers. The only two teams you really got to worry about is Dallas and Philly. And then, if maybe you run into the Saints, maybe you got to go to New Orleans and play a fucking playoff game. That's tough, right? There's realistic obstacles on this season. And I hope this team is ready for it. I hope they're not selling themselves too much and thinking, damn, we've done this the last 2 years. We can do it again. You can't start slow. You can't start 3-4, 3-5. You can't be doing that shit. You really need to come out like you did in 2019 to give yourself that, that landing, that runway towards the back end of the season. So if you were to drop a game, you're not freaking out going into Seattle or LA,
and you don't want to, and you
good.
shouldn't be traveling. Like with this team, you shouldn't be traveling. Like at the end of the year, and again, anything can happen in football. Injuries happen, like God forbid, anything like that. But you shouldn't be traveling. You like you should have a runway to traveling only in the NFC Championship game if you have to. But you've already built a team that has shown you that while they're healthy, they can do things like that. Like that's my concern with starting slow. Yeah. And I wrote an article on Niners Nation about Kyle Shanahan's starts, whether he was the head coach, offensive coordinator, whatever. It's not good. It doesn't. And even when they won in 2019, that first game wasn't good. So this is the year I think it's imperative for them to start fast. And Jordan put up a clip of a 4th-round rookie. What was it? He was running.
He's doing ghost technique.
Yeah, he ran a ghost technique, and he's knocking the ball out, and it's like, dude, that's their 3rd string or 2nd string guy. Like that's like, not TJ Watt. That's not what's his name? Highsmith. That's not him. Like the Steelers are not a walk in the park at this point.
No, absolutely not.
That's a move that like Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware like perfected over like years of time. And it's not that he's perfected it yet, but the fact that he's doing what Hall of Fame edge rushers are doing in his 2nd career preseason game. That's their 4th-round rookie. I'm like, I was literally laughing watching that. Like, man, like,
yeah.
I don't think people think it's going to be an easy game, but I'm like, this is going to be a lot harder than I think maybe it appears to be. But I would say the biggest difference is that, like, you could even call Kenny Pickett and Brock Purdy a wash based on the fact that both have really small sample sizes and we don't really know, and both have shown promising things. And Pickens is good, Najee Harris is good, Freiermuth's good. But the Niners skill position group to me is the deciding factor in this game. They're just so much better that I think they would have the edge. And hey, it may play out totally differently, and that may sound really stupid in 3 weeks, but that's gonna be a lot harder than I think people give credit for. Like I watch that and I'm like, it's the 2nd game, man. He's out here doing this. Are you kidding me? Like
he's being taught that, and I think that's again a great point because a lot of people just expect the 49ers to roll people. A lot of people are just expecting that because of what happened last year. And it's just like this league changes over quickly, especially when you get new talent, when you have coaching that is stable. And that's what the Steelers are. But look, an hour, 17 minutes in here, almost 200 people in here still. I think this is a good place to end it. Everybody's got stuff to do. You guys, like it's 12:50 on the East Coast. I'm tired. I'm not going to be I'm going to be awake all night. But Javi, incredible to see you. Jordan, so happy for you, buddy, man. You're starting your new job tomorrow. Is that what we're doing? Is it tomorrow?
Monday, yeah.
I looking at two people that I literally started everything with and enjoying their success, and we're all enjoying each other's success, man. It's something that I can't describe. For anybody who's like watched our growth on Twitter, all that stuff, everything that we've been able to accomplish, whether it be getting credentials to this, that, watching Jordan get his job, watching Javi be able to say, I don't need any of this. Like I'm just walking away from all of it. But like knowing that he helped a lot of us when it comes to all this stuff, man, it's something I'll never forget. And I'm so happy that we're able to still do stuff like this and still pop on, man. I'm happy to see you guys, man. And it just feels normal. It always feels right to like hang out with you guys and talk ball, man. Always.
Absolutely. Can I shout out? I think it was Miguel Martinez in the chat too, because I went this whole show without talking about Liverpool at all, but he brought it up, so I just have to give him. Yeah, Miguel Martinez, my guy. We're winning the league this year. Andrews Wolves suck. They lost again.
Dude,
4-1.
I can't get through a show with Jordan or Andrew without talking about football. That's why I was like looking good in your kit. Like I'm trying my best.
It's the world's game, man. Get on the same page.
Get on the same page.
Seriously, when you do the show with Andrew, give him credit. His team lost 4. So Andrew got into English soccer, and he basically picked the Cleveland Browns or Detroit.
Right,
Lions.
he picked the lovable losers, right? Like I figured that, right? Yeah.
And he gets up early at 6 a.m. on a Saturday
morning.
You
too. We're just thinking ass. Get out of here, Jordan.
Yeah, my team won though.
I'm not trying to, but I'm not trying to look on Instagram at 9 a.m. and see you with your laptop open. Blood, get some sleep. Get some damn sleep, man.
No.
Watch the replay. And if you got a Peacock login, let me get that. I need that. Hey, look, we're going to get out of here. Almost an hour 20, man. Make sure you're following Javier Vega. Make sure you're following Jordan Elliott. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when you go live. I can see our viewers dipping because I know someone's live right now. So hop on the Grant stuff or whatever, because he's definitely probably cooking right now.
Crazy.
Yeah, yo, my man is going crazy right now. So if you hopped on the Grant thing, if you're not going to Grant thing, if you're going to Grant thing from here, let them know Jason Aponte, Jordan Elliott, and Javi Vega sent you, just so we can go. But for Jordan, for Javi, we'll see you later, man. Peace.
Peace.
Welcome everybody. Let's go Niners. My name is Jason Aponte.